Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Unite Mathcast, an insight into the objective and subjective mathematics of Pokemon Unite. Before we begin, this podcast is sponsored by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas of Pokemon Unite. More on them later. Today on the Mathcast, we have our nerd Evochron.
Hello.
And our returning content creator / pro, Ven / Lazadin.
Hello.
And of course, me. We're just staying with us three today because there's quite a lot to go through, and we figured that this might just be the best way to concentrate all of our information. So, first things first. Hi, how you guys doing?
Pretty good.
You guys, many sleepless nights since the update?
Exactly one sleepless night.
I don't sleep at night anyway. I'm on night shift now.
That's fair. Many sleepless days then?
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, this is the big anniversary update, the Emblem update, as many have been calling it.
Yep.
How do you feel about the new introduction of like a major mechanic into the game? It's going to revolutionize how like builds are done in the very first place. I'm very curious to see your opinions on it.
They're fun, like a lot of fun.
I mean, the theory crafting is tons of fun. You have so much more flexibility in how you're able to build mons now. It's not just like take the 3 of the 5 best items and then you're done. Now you have so much more flexibility. I'm not a huge fan of the gacha system because because
The acquisition method makes it hard to fully invest in how awesome it is, but the actual system itself is really cool. I'm a little concerned about how it's going to work long term for tournament mode. I have heard a couple of things, and I'm not sure who to believe right now for how it's going to work in a month. But for now, it's not allowed at all. So we'll just see how it turns out.
I think one of the big things I've realized that since you're allowed to equip more than one of a rune, a air quotes full collection, a perfect collection of everything would require you to have 10 of every emblem of every tier. Because there are some bronze tiers that you might want to equip if you're trying to min-max certain values to get into exact thresholds. So a truly flawless collection would require you to have 10 gold, 10 silver, and 10 bronze of every single Pokemon, which is just insane.
Isn't every gold 9 bronze, pretty much? And silver's 3 bronze, so it's what?
If you get perfectly lucky though, because the cost to convert from silver to gold is Aeos coins. So I guess technically that's true. You only need a minimum of 9, and you're just spending Aeos coins instead. The bigger thing, however, is probably the set bonuses, because they only want unique Pokemon for the set bonuses in the first place. It's probably fine actually to have only one of each, or even just 2 of each.
Well, so one of the things I've realized is that although that's true about set bonuses, depending on which mon you're playing and depending on how you want to build, it could be optimal for somebody to say, well, this specific one, let's just say theoretically there's a mon that says, plus 50 HP, minus 1% crit. You might not care about everything else. You're just going to stack up on the HP and just say, cool, I've got 500 more HP. That works for this mon. That's like an example.
Is a mon that says that.
I don't know. I mean, let me check. I mean, I've got the emblem data right here.
Thanks, Evo.
Don't thank me. Thanks, Sobble. I just made it pretty.
Yeah, well, you made it readable. Let's put it that way.
I don't see. Oh, here we go.
Venomoth.
Yep, Venomoth is 50 HP, minus 1% crit, which means some people might just be like, hey, I want to stack 10 Venomoth, and it might be right. Yes, there are situations where you're like, oh, I want to stack, because in that case, green and black? It might be worthwhile for you to say, oh, I want to go stack. Actually, where does it say? Here we go. The extra special attack, not really relevant. CDR could be relevant, but not a huge deal if you're trying to build it for the sake of HP. It's one of those things that depending on the mon, it could be incredibly valuable to just have 500 more HP at level 1.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 4 white. For the example of HP, you can just get 4 white, right? I think the more relevant example is crit chance.
Crit chance is another good one where you might just crit chance. If you want to stack 10 of them to get 10% extra crit at level 1, if you want to stack Sandshrew or Sand Slash.
There's only 5 in the game right now.
Actually, Sand Slash is right.
Yeah, no, all the sand slash, sand shrew, meowth, Persian, farfetch'd, all of them have the +1 crit chance. But also the other thing is they don't have minus attack or a minus speed, so it's very possible that we get some of those in the future in the first place. And then going back to what you were saying with the HP, like yes, you could stack Venomoths, but at the same time, why would you stack strictly Venomoth when you could add into your other bonuses? For example, if you're taking minus crit, you probably don't need attack either. So Venomoth plus Vileplume is already a good suggestion. Or Venomoth.
Not necessarily whatsoever.
Venomat.
No, not even close. If you're playing a special attack mon that just doesn't get crit innately, like if we just pull up stats and we just pull out mons with 0% crit, like Azumarill?
Every special attack mon not named
Glaceon.
and Azumarill also doesn't get crit chance because it's weird.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so it might be worthwhile to say, well, I just want to get rid of all my crit chance because it doesn't cost anything, and then getting whatever big stat bonuses you get on top of it. It might be worthwhile on the opposite hand to say, well, let me tank my special attack and increase my crit rate by 10%, which, just stacking 10 sand slashes could be worthwhile. It all depends on the min-maxing and mathematics behind what you're actually getting out of it, what moves crit, what the actual breakpoints are. There's a lot to consider. Obviously, it's not going to be cut and dry. But the point is that there are circumstances that I could genuinely foresee that are pretty reasonable to foresee, where you might want to stack up to 10, maybe not actually 10, but like something like that of one mon.
My most likely scenario, I think, is on like a mon like Cinder or Gren. Going 6 orange, and you get 2 crit from 6 orange with Sandstrew Sandslash. And then having your remaining 4 be like the 2 white crit chance ones, which I forgot. That's Meowth and Persian, right?
Meowth and Persian have the same stat drops, and the last one is Farfetch'd.
Yeah, and then instead of Farfetch'd, you would just go 2 more Sandslashes.
Yep.
And that'd be what, like 6% crit, 4% more attack, 1% more HP. Like that's really reasonable.
2%, I think, if it's a white and 2.
Yep. It'd be white 2, so it'd be 1%, I think.
Yeah, it's just demonstrative of a problem, though, where if we're considering, like, oh, well, I only need 1 gold of a mon in order to be able to do my thing. That's fine. You're going to get a lot of different mons. You might not get the perfect one, but you'll get one that's close enough. But when you start needing to stack the same one, you have a lot of issues, because on average, you're going to be having to get every other mon as well every time you do that, and you're not going to be able to RNG into it. There needs to be ways to be able to select which ones you want more reliably, because it's kind of crap that, well, I've been playing Snorlax and Dragonite my whole life, and now the only ones that I'm getting are like minus HP. I don't know.
So we have been getting that a little bit with the season points, for example. Right now, the season points, if you collect enough season points, 13,500 season points grants you a free gold Gengar emblem, and that's like, it's only been like what, 2 days here. I don't play like extremely a lot, and I'm already at 5,430 battle points. And these battle points, they've been giving away these battle point boosters for a long time as well. And people who have been sitting at 40 have already gotten to level 50 even from like how many games they've played ahead of time. But
that's still only one. Like it's a specific one, but you don't get to choose it. So like Gengar in this case, what number is Gengar? He's like 94. Yeah, so if you're not somebody who wants to increase your movement speed, Gengar's not going to be useful to you.
But Gengar is a double type, which is a big thing with all these emblems.
That is true. Very, very true.
There's also one other aspect, which is obviously we only have the first 0 to 99, or well, definitely 1 to 99 Pokemon here.
Yeah.
We guaranteed we were probably going to get more emblems, because as we see by what stats are giving and taking away, there could be additional bonuses and there could be different colors. We basically have a lot of combinations between what is being sacrificed, what is being gained, and then the color individually itself, combined with the fact that there could be dual colors, multicolors, etc.
I'm interested in seeing what happens. Now, there is one obvious elephant in the room when it comes to how people build runes or how people build emblems. That being CDR. the big obvious, elephant in the room, where people are able to have like pedal dance continually on cooldown, or essentially like hyper voice continuously blaring with like a quarter second cooldown between. How do you guys see that as impacting the way people play Unite?
So it's really one of those things that you need to judge them on that basis, right?
Mm-hmm.
The special attackers especially are the ones that benefit the most, because not only do they have higher crit chance, or sorry, not crit chance, CDR, and CDR is just better the more you have of it.
Mm-hmm.
They also, like, there's a lot of green blacks, so they can just pretty naturally get 7 black, 6 green without that much hassle. Like, I, from my first 2 days of polls, got 7 black, 4 green. Like, it's like really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain breakpoints that can matter a lot. Hoopa portals below 10 seconds matters a lot. Venusaur's pedal dance getting as low as possible, as close to 5 seconds as possible, matters a lot.
Flail-axe.
Once you get beyond that, oh gosh, Flail-axe, actually, is another good point. Because Flail-axe, as long as that it's like, you care about it always being active.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cooldown on Flail?
6.5 seconds, if I recall correctly.
And what's the uptime?
5.
Wait, what?
Hold on. Flail is at 6.5 base, 5 seconds. So if you take full CDR, if you take like amp, I guess you're never taking Shell Bell. You can get it down to what?
So he innately has 10% CDR.
Correct.
Well, okay. Well, let me actually pull it up. So we have if you are playing with the max CDR, you get what, 8 is what it is. 8% is what it gives you.
For 7 blacks, it's 8% plus the 10% in 8 and plus energy amp at 4.5. That'll give you 22%.
You don't need the energy amp. You don't need the energy amp. Just with 7 black, 7 black just plus your innate, you get 4.68.
18% off of 6.5.
Yep, 4.68. Unless I'm a griefer. No, I'm a griefer. I'm a griefer.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, wait. Yeah, I was like, 5.33. What you need to get is 5 divided by 6.5. You need to get to 23%. If you get to 23, you're essentially there. It's like within a frame or two. Once you get to 23%, you're there. Which means if you get energy amp, with energy amp, you have Flail continuously active at level 1. Or at level... once you get your CDR at level
9.
10.
10?
10?
Sorry, 10, yeah. That's a weird one.
So,
that should be 9 like every other defender.
I agree.
I know what it is.
The old used to be 10. I wonder if they just forgot to change the stat.
God,
they absolutely did. They absolutely did.
Hilarious.
Like, if you just have Yawn, that would just be Yawn Flail. You walk up and Yawn and just always have Flail up. Can literally continuously level 10. Like, is that going to be a good build? Questionable. But, like, it's playable. That's not something we can now consider. Even if it's, whether it's good or not is irrelevant. What matters is that it's something we can look at, and now it's a new angle. I could definitely see in the future it as being one of those things that, like, oh, it's obviously bad, but some pro team pulls that out of nowhere because nobody expects them to be running Flail-axe and just absolutely shits on the enemy team. Like, it's like, it's only good when the enemy doesn't expect it, but it's so easy to shut down if you know what you're doing.
There's also the possibility of, like, Crossel with Shell Smash. Shell Smash only takes the base stats of Crossel, but if you're taking the emblems that give boosts, those defensive stats don't get converted. So even though you're still, your attack is still strong then, but you're also getting, like, the extra defense that you would have had, and now you're just like this.
Question. How does the blue pairing work with Crossel?
So
to my understanding, it sets his base to 0. That makes sense.
Correct. Yes.
But now we have now introduced a multiplicative defense bonus.
We actually already know the answer to this. It's
I was testing it this morning.
Does it work the way you want it to, or does it work the way you don't want it to?
It works the way you want it. Well, okay. So you're it depends on how you really want it to. So if what's going to happen is it's going to remove your base stats. So let's say, for example, Crossel at level 13, it removes your 457 defense. It removes your 315 defense, converts that into your attack stat. The blue bonus and the blue emblems will remain after the fact. So if you have the blue bonus, let's say, for example, it's What is my blue
8%.
bonus at? 8%.
Blue is
So
8% of 457
yeah,
would be
kept.
like 20. Like it would be kept. So it'd be like 30 something defenses. That's not bad actually.
Yeah, so 30 plus whatever you had before, so plus the items which comes after. So focus band, for example, keep the focus band. So it's 30 plus. What did you say? 30 something? 30 something rather, right?
Yeah, I just estimated too. It's like 34. I don't know.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then plus any actual flat stats that you're gaining from the emblem as well.
So then, yeah, so you could.
And your passive defense too, as Monzo just pointed out. Yep.
Yeah,
Sturdy.
So if you wait, sturdy. Oh yeah,
Sturdy stays as well.
Oh yeah, so you could get
You could almost lose basically
question,
nothing.
Then something that is now interesting to me. How does the blue work with temporary defense buffs? So Crustle has sturdy, where he every 7% of missing HP he gains. I'm just gonna say for simplicity, it's 5, even though it's more as you get higher levels. He gains 5 defenses every 7% he's missing. If he's like half HP, that means he's gonna have 35 more defenses. But if I have the blue emblem, that's an additional 8%. Does it count that 35 for the 8%?
Hold on, do I have 8 blue emblems? Let's see if I can test this.
I mean, we could just test with any set of emblems and then use like Blastoise Rapid Spin.
Because the thing is that if you say that it doesn't dynamically count when it's at 0, it doesn't dynamically change. It makes me think that it's counting just against the base, which feels weird.
Well, Crustle's weird.
Well, yeah, there's gonna be some weird math anyways, saying, oh yeah, it's 8%, and yes, it counts dynamic changes, but unless it was set to 0, in which case it uses the previous amount. But if I add more bonuses, then like if there's a lot of weird circumstances that.
Crustle in general is really strange though, because Crustle is like the only way to get negative defenses is like Shell Smash. Like it's just a very strange ability.
Which you cannot actually get negative defenses though, because I checked earlier. And it'll bottom out at 0.
You can actually with specifically Shadow Ball, or at least you used to be able to. If you got Shadow Balled before you Shell Smashed, it used to put you below 0.
Oof.
Interesting.
Because that would make sense as well, because it's a flat reduction for Shadow Ball instead of percentage.
Yeah, which is very weird for reduction abilities.
But for the record, it doesn't work on any other like Pokemon. Like Shadow Ball actually reduces more special defense than most Pokemon have, but it never puts it below 0 except on Crustle, or at least it used to. Again, I don't know if they fix this bug ever. So,
which bug, Crustle or the other thing?
Shadow Ball. Very funny.
Hilarious. Because he's a bug. Get it, guys? Because Crustle's a bug.
All right. Can they please make it so the filter on the emblems stays, so I don't have to click it every single fucking time I click a new emblem?
So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting things that are coming out of this, out of these emblems. Just the fact we're having these kinds of conversations. We haven't been able to have really good, like numerical conversations that have been novel in quite a long while. Because most of the thing has just been like, oh well, who's the new release? Wow, it's a new mon with a weird, goofy mechanic. Like that's nice, but it's not the same as saying the fundamental mathematics of the game are so fundamentally different that it drastically changes how you even have to think about the game. I love it.
Who's the new release? Flip a coin. Is it overpowered or garbage? Oh, it's overpowered this time.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny because if you look at like the last handful of releases, you get like Azumarill, wow, hot garbage, and then you look a little bit later and like, wow, Espeon, hot garbage, and then there was Sylveon who was just like broken on release. There was Greedent who was broken on release. Serena was broken on release. Glaceon was interesting. Decidueye, garbage on release.
It's broken. It's broken.
Wait, what? Decidueye?
No, Glaceon. I can't remember whether... I remember that a lot of people said that they hated Glaceon, but I couldn't tell whether it was because that it was OP or whether it was just irritating.
Oh, Espeon was garbage on release, but I think Glaceon hasn't had enough time for people to really like settle into their opinions yet because it's not even out for most people. Like, you have to have swipe to get it by this point, but I think it's overpowered.
I think that's actually a point about that. I think that there's a current campaign or event code that you can enter and get a thing for Glaceon right now.
Yes. If you go to your gift exchange tab and you type in Unite 2022, you will get a temporary Glaceon license.
All in capitals.
Yes.
So yeah, besides emblems, there were a handful of changes made recently. Just a handful. So how about that Absol? He's
Garbage.
he's
broken.
slightly less good now.
He's broken in the wrong way.
Yeah, he's broken in the bad way. Yeah.
Or is that is that a good way or a bad way? Actually, I can't tell.
Okay, so let's be frank. I think that the numerical changes he got were pretty reasonable. It's just a shame that the second slash of Night Slash is like genuinely the worst hitbox I've ever seen. We've seen a lot of broken hitboxes. This is abysmal.
So I think it's broken, like in like the bugged way, because yes, it was going too far initially from our previous patch, and they were intending to reduce it to match the hitbox. But I think something else happened that it got shortened even more. That's the problem.
Yeah, something had to. Like,
I'll post a picture for people who are not aware of it, and if you're listening on the replay, it'll be in the text chat. I'll be sure to pin it.
Yeah.
There's a very funny set of images that I have that show just how awful this hitbox is.
it is like it's funny because I remember that when I woke up on Thursday after the patch dropped yesterday, I think. Wait, it was Thursday morning. I went and I just scrolled through the general chat and scrolling through the math core general chat, and there was like 5 or 6 different people who had independently all posted very similar clips of Absol missing Night Slash. And like, yes, we understand. I think everybody here has seen it. Night Slash is broken. Look at all of these posts here. I think we get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's pretty funny.
Scrolling is for dweebs.
Yeah. Didn't somebody calculate recently that if you're playing Gardevoir, you can essentially just spam Future Sight off cooldown now?
Well, no, because Future Sight still reduces it to a certain threshold, and like that one is limited by your cast animation effectively. But Psyshock gets very close to. If Psyshock gets very close to being pop, 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 1 second, pop, 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 1 second, pop, pop, pop.
I've been playing a lot of Gardevoir because of the boss rush mode, which we'll probably get to later.
Yeah.
And like you're pretty much like mashing your buttons like as fast as possible at level 13. It is so insane.
Oh yeah, someone just mentioned another example is Aurora Veil. How Aurora Veil has a near continuous uptime as well. It's like down for like a second at like any medium level.
Krill, quick follow up on that. The blue emblem or like the defensive bonus emblems.
Yeah.
They do affect dynamics. So for example, using Blastoise, Rapid Spin level 13, I'm getting 8 extra defense where I normally would only get I'm getting 428 extra defense, whereas normally I only get 420.
Wait, what? That's not 8%.
I'm getting 8.
Oh,
sorry,
2%. You have the 2% one on right now.
Yeah, I have 2%. I'm getting 2% extra,
Okay, yeah.
which translates to 8 defenses higher.
That makes sense. Yep. So yeah, that follows. So then the interesting question is, how does that? So it works the way you want it to for those. How does it work with reductions? So if somebody hits you with what defense shredding things are there? There's got to be defense shredding something, right?
Decidueye, Serena auto attack, Absol auto attack, and also Cramorant.
Cramorant auto, yep. Cramorant auto for some reason.
For boost. Sorry, all of these granted are for boosted autos. We should specify that, and Shadow Sneak.
Wait, Cramorant boosted auto shreds Why does it shred defense?
Only the
defense.
Only the Arrokuda.
Defense.
Only the Arrokuda.
And special defense by 5%. Why did what? But
Pikachu
he's a
does
special
not.
attacker.
It's probably because of the dive aspect.
The dive auto is still special.
This is
I don't know, man.
Right, but the intended play pattern is more auto attack from Cramorant.
So then, my question would then be: is if somebody subtracts your defenses, how does the 8% work? Does the 8% stay flat against what your base originally was? Does it ignore all debuffs? And then the other question is: how does it work with combining Crustle's Shell Smash with other buffs? It's gonna get weird. Like the math is gonna get awkward. This is just kind of like an example of the weird things we're gonna have to calculate because they're very important questions that really make a difference. Because if it turns out that the difference that like if you're shell smashing, you can go between like either 80 defenses if you're stacking it well, or like 110 defenses, that really makes a big difference. We don't know the exact specifics, but like that can matter.
I think the other portion, if you really consider it, is also item sets. So like right now everyone's like still focus spam, but if you're running into situations, and this is another thing we should talk about, is how a lot of attacks, like basic attacks for some Pokemon, have turned into special damage.
Yes.
For some reason.
So like, I mean, it's not necessarily for some reason, but like, it's worth considering. Hoopa, Eevee for Sylveon, but not only Eevee stage for whatever reason. I think those are the main ones. Glaceon is obviously all special, for example.
Yeah.
Hoopa,
Sylveon isn't marked out. Sylveon isn't written down here.
Well, no, so Sylveon itself is not. Eevee's the Eevee of Sylveon is.
Wait. The Eevee of Sylveon is 100% attack as special attack, but Sylveon itself is just 100% attack as physical?
It seems to be the case, yes.
God, this game is ridiculous. Like, I can understand why you'd say, "Oh man, we think their special attack should be special." Like, sorry, their basic attack should be special. That makes sense. Like, yes, I completely understand. You want to look at like, not Espeon, Glaceon.
It could be an oversight.
Yeah, the basic is an RSB. That makes total sense. How the basic is a special attack thing. That just makes sense. But there's been many times in the past where it uses your attack stat to do special damage, and I think in one case it was the other way around. In one case, yeah, with Greedent, it was the other way around, but it wasn't with a special attack. Like, why?
No, it still scales off special attack. It still scales off special attack. Or no, yeah, you're right.
No, it does not. Yeah.
Yeah, at one point it was like Covet scaled off special attack but dealt physical damage.
Yes, they have since
weird.
They have since remedied that, thankfully.
Yes, they have, but there's this is just like all weird. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to just like change what the formula is. Like, I don't understand where all of these bugs are coming from. Like, how messy is this game built? Like,
I don't necessarily know if it's a bug per se, because like
I would definitely say Sylveon's a bug.
Sylveon for sure. Sylveon for sure, but
weird.
At the same time, it might be also a feature based on the fact that Sylveon has the Spell Vamp baked into its kit. Now, granted, Glaceon also has Spell Vamp baked into the kit, but it's not based on the attack stat still. So there is some like further reduced scaling for Glaceon's quote-unquote Spell Vamp, which at this point in time we should also mention that Spell Vamp is not exclusively moves, it's any special damage.
Yes, which means it would include your boosted attack and include your basic attack if your basic attack deals special damage. Also, I think I think there's one exception, but as a generally universal rule, Mons tend to have less special defense than defense. The exception, I think, is exactly Blissey.
Wigglytuff too, I think, at certain levels.
Wigglytuff too?
Wigglytuff's always more defense than special defense.
Oh.
Yeah, Wigglytuff has more defense.
It's very close. It's like Wigglytuff's the closest between the defense and special defense, but it's still more defense.
Yeah, Blissey is the only exception here. But it's funny because Blissey is the exception not because they have a lot of special defense, but because they have like next to no defense. It's like why do they have like less defense than Cinderace? If you're looking at less defensive stats than Cinderace, Decidueye, and Greninja, there's a problem.
So there's partially a flavor reason for that, because Blissey in VGC is...
I'm aware. Is a special tank. I'm aware
a good
of all
old
that.
10 base defense, poggers.
But, I mean, but it's still, like, weird, right? Like, I don't know. So it still bothers me a little bit how every other mon in the game has more defense than special defense, meaning that like special attackers are somewhat buffed over physical attackers. You see a ratio that's like, oh man, would you rather do a physical damage attack that does 1,000 damage or a special that does 900? And the answer isn't obviously clear-cut, because it depends a lot on which mon you're playing against, because the defenses are going to change a ton. If you're playing against Blissey, you always want the physical damage, but if you're playing against almost anybody else, it's going to be the other way around. Like Aegislash and Decidueye are two interesting cases. Decidueye and Aegislash both have 250 defenses, yet Aegislash has 24 more special defense. So, like, you just have this, like, weird... inconsistency with being able to predict how much like your attacks are going to be able to do. I don't know.
Well, Aegislash
I
is an all-rounder, although albeit it probably should have been a speedster initially. But it does have the 2 forms, which kind of also throw things off a lot.
I mean, but not really, because all it does is it increases both of your defenses, right?
In shield form, your defense gets a lot higher.
Oh yeah, in shield form, your defense increase. Oh yeah, so I thought it increases both of your defenses by the same amount. No, it increases your physical defense by a lot more than your special defense. Holy cow! By 30 plus 5 per level minus 1 difference. That's quite a significant.
And hey, tying back into the emblem system, having more defense than special defense means minus defense emblems. I literally don't care. Also minus special defense because HP is better. But
okay, so there's a really interesting question talking about. Let's say I'm in a situation where I have like twice the amount of special defense as defense. I've got like 175. Sorry, let's do the other way around. I've got like 300 defense and like 175 special defense. Should I choose to lose special defense or lose defense?
Special defense.
It's actually a bit of a trick question because it doesn't really matter either way.
It does matter.
It doesn't actually. So it kind of doesn't when it comes to effective HP. Losing special defense means that you're gonna have it. So essentially, they're both flat pools. So I'm essentially taking a flat amount of HP from either a pool that has more HP or less HP. That's the thing. So would you rather just say, oh, well, what I'm facing against physical mons, would I rather have, 5,000 HP or 4950? That difference might make a difference.
A flat amount from a bigger pool is a smaller percentage.
You're right, which means that in the case where you have more defense than special defense, you should be looking at minus defenses.
Not necessarily. So that's
exactly,
there is a kind of like breakpoint, and I'm going to reference VGC for this.
In most cases,
perhaps, but the bigger thing is in VGC, for example, and I'm going to call out Richie Von Gaming, who introduced this concept to me, is that when you have something that you are invested in, i.e. your nature in VGC is plus defense minus special defense or whatever, you actually typically want to invest into your defense so that you're getting that extra boost because of that extra 10% from that nature. Now the same thing here is we have potential blue boost versus purple. However,
we're not so much talking about the blue versus purple. We're talking about like if we're not taking blue or purple. Yeah, if you're taking other flat stats, like let's say that you're trying to go for orange or something, and you're like, man, I could either lose defenses or special defenses. You'd rather subtract from the bigger pool generally.
Yes, that is absolutely
yes. The thing is that VGC is different because in VGC and Pokemon in general, you want to subtract from your weaker stat because you're like, well, I'm going to die in one hit to a special attack anyways. Like I'm playing Rayquaza, I'm not going to invest in my special defense for somebody tries to hit me with a blizzard or something. I'm going to die anyways.
Yes, but at the same time, this sort of customization allows us to think about that further. And while we don't have a draft mode yet, well, we don't have we at first don't have draft mode first, and then we don't have like right now we're still at the start of this, right? We don't have this available in tournament mode. In the future, I could very much see a possibility of getting more configuration pages to work with.
Sure. But like, I'm fairly certain that even like because I went through this because Math Geek and I talked about it for a little bit a few days ago. Mm-hmm. I went through and checked like a bunch of different pages. The absolute most effective HP and physical effective HP you can get even on Blissey is just 6 white, and then all the HP you can get, and completely ignoring blue altogether. Like that's part of the problem.
Well, so the way that it works is if
that's. The problem is HP is just that disproportionately powerful.
Yeah, so the main reason, to explain it just super basically, is that if you look at all of the emblems, you can see that there's a very calculated trade-off between things. So 50 health is the equivalent of 3 special attack in their mind, and 3 special attack is also the equivalent of 5 defense. And all of that pairs up nicely. If you look at Caterpie, for example, it's minus 50 HP for plus 5 defense, and then there's the opposite with Pidgey, where it's plus 50 HP, minus 5 defense. Like that is the parity. That is how they evaluate things at being the same value. Every single stat has that parity. There's none of the emblems break that mathematical parity. Everything has a very set value, which means we can just do a flat comparison and say, is there a circumstance in where 5 defenses is going to be more valuable than 50 HP? And the answer is no, not even close. Flat HP is just so much better by a significant margin. And the way that I can estimate it is the same way I estimate everything else before. Every 6 of a defense is the equivalent of 1% of your base HP in effective HP. But HP is going to be multiplied by whatever your actual defenses are. So if I have a plus 6 to my defense, and I have like 10,000 HP, cool. It's really cool. I just got 100 more HP out of that. That's not, like, I got 100 more effective HP out of that. But if I have 50 more HP, like, just flat, I get to put that against all the defenses I already have. Like, that's going to end up being as significant. The exception will be exactly like super late game Blissey at max HP and with other invested HP stuff. At that point, maybe it makes a difference. But, like, it really is close. When you invest in the absolute possible deepest edge case, it's about the same. In every other circumstance, HP wins by a landslide.
Until, and I'm going to put this curse in the world out there, until they change the defense formula.
So, oh God, please, Evo, don't do this to me. But yeah, either until they change the defense formula. But there is a circumstance we have to consider as well, which is very relevant and is something we should consider, especially with Blissey, which is healing. Healing, if you have percent match HP healing, then HP is better again. But if you have flat healing, if I say, oh, I have an ability that heals you like 2,500 HP or something, like you're talking about Blissey's Soft Boiled, that is bettered by defenses and is not bettered by max HP. Which means it could be a relevant situation where now you're saying, well, I'm playing Blissey. Do I want to have an additional 500 HP or an additional 50 defenses? And the answer might be 50 defenses. It's one to consider. Of course, it's one to consider. We've considered it. It's not the right choice, but it's one to consider at least. Like, it's one that you can look into and say, well, this is math that we should think about.
To put it in perspective, even using like percentage boosts, right? So like level 13 with no other items and no other like bonus stats. I'm just going off of raw stats because it's easy.
Yeah.
A Blastoise that is in Rapid Spin Plus, so that is like a shitload of defense, 878 at level 15. Has 19,578 effective HP with nothing else. If you put 8% more defensive on it, it's like actually more effective health in any circumstance whatsoever to get 4% more health than it is 8% more defense. Like, it is not close.
Yeah, so like that's the other thing is that, like, if you look at the side-by-side comparison of 4% HP versus 8% defenses, like 8% defenses correlate to, like I said before, every 6 is 1%. So if you're saying you have like, if you say you have like 600 defenses, then 8% of that is going to get you 8% more maximum HP in terms of effective HP. But in those circumstances, getting the HP is going to be multiplied by your defenses, and you're going to get the same thing anyways. I think that beyond 600 defenses, a percent defenses win. In every circumstance below that, percent match HP wins. Because like it's a 2-to-1 ratio. Like, in the circumstance where the percentage is worth twice as much, then that's better. But it's not ever going to be worth twice as much.
Which makes sense for the defensives to be on defenders and all-rounders who have the chance to get up there. However, also...
Which ones get up there?
For defenses? Like you said, Blastoise already is 599 defense.
Yeah, but that's level 15. Yes, if you're level 15 Blastoise with rapid spin.
No, just base. Rapid spin, you'd already hit it at 13 for sure.
Yeah. So, but like at what level? Like if we're at like level, I don't know, like level 12. Oh wow, that's a lot of defenses. Okay, wow, holy crap. Actually,
Well,
what level
remember,
do
it does have to be Rapid Spin Plus, so it would be 13.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So yeah, at level 13, then once you reach level 13, then yeah. Oh wow. Now your defenses are better. Wow. But like, so like it's better the rest. Like HP is better the rest of the game, and like it's just. Are you going to say I'm going to be so tanky in the like when I'm fighting Zapdos at the risk at at the sacrifice of everything else? It just doesn't feel worth it.
I'm not sure I fully agree or disagree because like this is going to be both a playstyle thing, but also like
Yeah.
you will have
Preference.
we will also still have to see because there's nothing that's going to there's nothing that's saying that they won't change emblems. We thought for the longest time that they weren't going to change items, yet all of a sudden,
I kept saying
boom.
they were going to do it. You guys didn't believe me. I kept saying it was going to happen one day.
We were skeptical. But
I kept saying that there's no way they're going to keep all the items the way that they are right there.
No, absolutely
the big thing
not.
That's like, they're going to nerf the Buddy Barrier Shield. They are going to nerf the amount of HP it gives. And then when they changed how Score Shield works, people were like, no, that's not a nerf. We swear that like when they changed the way that that CC works in parity with Score Shield, that's not a nerf. That's not a change. That's just like it just happens to be that way. That's just like a mechanical difference. They're not nerfing the item. And then like 2 months later, they just like, you know what? Screw you. We're gonna nerf all of the items. It's like, yeah, they have never been afraid to. It's just not been relevant enough up until the point where Buddy Barrier just took over.
Well, we also the other portion is we figured that they were going to change them. We just didn't know when, and we didn't think that they would make the change within the competitive season. We assumed that it would be after Worlds, then we got a huge overhaul. After some big event, August 16th, I think it was. So literally less than a month.
Oh man, are they going to be having emblems in Worlds?
I would not be surprised considering because also
I can neither confirm nor deny that at this time.
Okay, so they're going to have emblems for Worlds.
Well, yes, I mean, think about remember, Tyranitar is already coming on the 16th of August, and so Worlds is on the 18th.
Tyranitar is not going to be in the. Okay, wait. Actually,
that one I can't say. Tyranitar's not there.
Tyranitar will not be playable. Will not be playable in Worlds.
Because I don't actually know as an individual, and I've not been approached by anybody official regarding this. I can absolutely freely speculate and say they're absolutely going to have emblems because it's just going to be it's going to be representative of the game. They want to have their new big flagship. Keystone project be relevant in Worlds and say, oh my gosh, look at that Sylveon just spamming the absolute hell out of Hyper Voice. Wow, what interactive gameplay! I don't think they'll
be allowed in tournament mode at Worlds even so, but they will have emblems for everyone else to be playing with. That's like there is a difference.
I think they'll have it. I'm not sure if they'll have it in tournament mode, but they might have it for like specifically for entrance of Worlds or something. They might have like a test beta that people that are playing on or something of that ilk. Similarly to how they do it in League of Legends, where they say, "Oh, you guys are playing on like a special server beta or alpha, whatever the heck, that's built for tournament modes, and it has different features than when it was ever released publicly." There's the whole like meme for like the first 7 years of League Worlds, the Corky meme, which is like so they usually lock in on on like a patch about a month before Worlds. Maybe they'll introduce one or two little smaller changes. But the running joke was that for some reason, always 1 month before Worlds, they would always nerf one specific champion, Corky, and without fail. Like it was always like that one patch, and he's not gonna get like they would buff it back up the next patch. But that point doesn't matter because they're not playing on that patch. Same kind of thing with this as well. I could definitely see that they're going to be taking something and saying, we're going to do a bunch of changes, and then this will be like the official patch we're playing on, maybe with like a fix of like game-breaking bugs. Oh, on an unrelated, well, somewhat related, but unrelated note, I was having a conversation with a little birdie in my ear a bit ago, and I was reading through some rules regarding of squads in Pokemon Unite that cheat. There are new rules that say, let me just read what it actually says here. Regarding cheating, trainers who engage in cheating will have their accounts suspended. The Unite squads of trainers who engage in cheating will be removed from the rankings and disbanded prior to receiving ranking rewards. It's interesting that they now have that in the rules. But something that really screws me a little bit is, what do they regard as cheating? They have been very, very loose when it comes to bug abuse in this game. There have been so many, like... What, we can talk about the concept of bug abuse.
No, I mean, are we allowed to talk about that one thing that happened with the double stuff?
It's gone. It's gone now, so...
Is it gone now? Okay, so the double Pokemon...
Yeah, it's gone now. There was a period of time where... They've now fixed this bug, but you used to be able to have two people who were like in a voice call together be able to spam toggle between two different mons and confuse the server, and they could both pick the same mon. That is now fixed. It was a problem that we saw, and one that we said we are not going to make it public because it's slightly too easy to do. If two people are coordinated on it, you can essentially just get a double Blissey every game or a double Absol every game. That would have been horrific if that was the case. But I think it was patched before the Absol patch. So, but if
they're probably referring to something like that, where it's like easily catchable, easily visible what the issue is.
Yeah. Can you just imagine if we were in the patch where like Absol was meta, like in this ridiculous way, and it was possible to pick more than one Absol on a team. Like it would just win every time. Like it was just so disgusting. It's like, imagine when Dragonite meta. The Dragonite meta, people were taking multiple Dragonites. Crazy. People were doing the same thing with like Blissey in between. There was a couple people doing it with Hoopa. There was a whole thing where there was like a team of 4 Hoopas that was going around because you can do it with more people in theory. It was just ridiculous. Fortunately, that's now gone, not doable. But it was a blight. Yes, I would obviously consider that cheating. Follow-up question: would you consider the Cramorant bug cheating?
Yes.
Now,
I literally banned people for it from Eos Frontier. Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, there are bugs that I think I would consider cheating, and you would consider cheating. Eos Frontier and Floatstone and Mathcast would all unanimously agree. Cramorant is obviously cheating. Would Nintendo agree?
Yes.
What is their threshold? Would the Blastoise damage bug have been considered cheating, where you're spinning and tapping A and dealing a bunch of more damage than you're supposed to be? Would the
second one probably would be the first one? Probably not.
Would the Gengar bug be considered cheating, where you pop your ult and start scoring and you're completely invisible when the scoring starts?
Well, they did fix that first off, and here's the thing.
They did fix it, but like I'm saying, when it was there, would that have been considered cheating? Would using that have been considered cheating? There's a lot of bugs that have come around. Would using the Duraludon bug, the one where you're able to like walk and laser wherever you're going, would that have been cheating? Would it have been cheating to use oh gosh, what was the other one? Where you were in Hoopa Unbound form for the entire game? Is that considered cheating?
So
like,
there's a threshold.
Where's the line? What about the Lucario bug? The one where you're using the pup punch damage.
Whole day or that one.
Yeah.
So
with extreme speed.
There's obviously a cutoff and a threshold, and whether something is deliberate or not is determinable. The other thing I want to bring up, though, is, for example, we had in the PB with an error with Serena, and what we've never known before is whether they can just disable a single individual Pokemon.
They can on PB.
Correction. We didn't know that until now. So what is the possibility that this sort of feature is now in their infrastructure? And if we have a sort of bug like that, they can just turn off the Pokemon.
Oh, I know the answer to that. 100%. It is in the game.
Yeah, I for a while.
No, it's okay. Kind of. The framework has been in the game for a while, but it hasn't actually been usable. With this most recent update, it is now usable within the game. They are now able to do it. Before, there was like the whole rough, like the framework that would be there of, oh, they are one day going to implement this feature, and with this patch, they have now implemented it. At least according to my Ripper friend who has been digging through the code.
So with that being said, and now that we do know that, like these are cases of, okay, well, you have a shorter window, you have a distinct window of, okay, this is approximately when we can establish that this sort of issue got out to the public, and then all of a sudden you have that window of, okay, these people are playing the game, and these people are spamming this one Pokemon that is absolutely broken, and I would assume that they have the metrics to look into what happened during the game. Is there a replay value? Is there something that they can identify?
Do you actually believe, like, do you actually hold any faith that Timmy holds any replay anythings? Like, do you actually believe that they have the ability to look through old games, or that they're holding metrics beyond what you can kind of see in the game? I have very little faith in them to do that.
I believe that replays are not the case. However, we do have the general statistics of how much damage is done, how much damage is received, how many scores are done. Like, these are things that you can still piece together through some pieces of analytics, that you can make an assumption or even at least launch an investigation on a certain player.
Or a mon, depending on the offense in question.
Well, yes, but it has to be it has to be the player. Like, you're not going to ban the mon because the mon has a bug. You ban the player who's abusing said bug.
Oh no, you can absolutely you disable them on if there's a Lucario bug and you realize, wait a second, this player has so much more damage than everybody else, and then a little bit later it turns out that, like, wow, wait, a lot of other people have a lot more damage than we thought is possible on Lucario. How is this possible? Oh yeah, it turns out that the E-speed bug is back. Let's just turn it off.
Yes, but at the same time, there's a cutoff point then of realizing when people start to use it. So, like, if I've never played a Lucario game in my life, and then this Lucario bug happened, and then all of a sudden I'm playing Lucario and I'm getting wins and wins and wins and wins. Am I flagged? There you go. You have a reference point of, okay, well, no one in this entire game has evenly distributed Pokemon plays. I mean, there might be like 0.0001%.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
But, like, the likelihood of that happening, and then all of a sudden a bug occurs, and then all of a sudden something shoots up into their most played and their win rate and whatever. Like,
the other thing is that it's difficult to be able to tell in some other cases. Like, if Blissey had a heal bug that allowed them to heal twice as more than they're supposed to be able to, if everybody's able to use that bug, it's not going to stick out like a sore thumb if, like, one player is just really good at Blissey. Like, oh yes, I used to be a Cinderace and Delphox main, and I swapped over to Blissey, and wow, I'm healing 1.5 times the healing of everybody else. It could just be that I'm cracked on Blissey, and it just turns out that I discovered a new mon, or there's a bug that I'm abusing. Yes, correct. It can open up an investigation, but that it's still weird as to the tools they may or may not have.
Yes, but still, there's the benefit of the doubt, and there's also just the possibility of information.
That's true.
And we can't just completely negate and say they're completely incompetent. It's just not fair. It's just not fair.
I mean, they are, but that's besides the point. Question then, if we're going to since we're already like an hour in, kind of thing, winners and losers of the patch. If you guys had to make a guess, who do you think is the big winner? Who do you think is the big loser?
Delphox is the big winner, even though
Absol is obviously the big loser, but I mean more like in terms of Delphox is the big winner or loser?
Winner. Even though it got nerfed, it's a better Pokemon.
Because isn't it insane with the cooldown things? Because now you can just like spam Fire Blast off cooldown
things, and also the only reason Delphox was not picked in every single game last patch was because if you picked Delphox, you got one shot. Yep.
Oh, were their defenses increased, or was it that?
No, it's just Absol doesn't exist. Absol doesn't exist in the game anymore, so Delphox is skyrocketing.
Interesting.
So I have a different opinion on that because as far as emblems go, I think basically all special attackers win. But as far as far as individual balance goes, I'm hard pressed to say between Azumarill and Zeraora. Finally,
Azumarill's play rough, like doubling in damage. Holy crap!
And cooldowns. But the bigger thing is Zeraora finally going from Unite at 10 to Unite at 9. Oh, Zeraora was already strong.
That. Zeraora, we've been talking about that for so friggin' no. Zeraora, okay. Zeraora has been like B tier very like comfortably for a long while. Like it was C tier last patch. Zeraora's never hasn't been good since like the beginning of Unite.
The double ult nerf, unlucky.
Yeah, like Zeraora got a damage nerf and then then the level nerf. And then
it wasn't a level nerf. It was just 2 damage nerfs in a row.
Oh no, but Zeraora didn't it originally
have
it was
always 6 10. It was always 6 10.
Oh well.
The big thing with Zeraora has always been like, from the start of the game, when the 113 first started, I hated playing Lucario, so I played Zeraora, and Zeraora beats Lucario in the 1v1 because of Volt Absorb most of the time. But even if you get ahead with Zeraora, you couldn't capitalize it because all of a sudden E-Speed Lucario, and this is granted again when Lucario is even more broken, of course.
Yeah, Lucario got his like ult at like level 8, right?
Yeah, when Lucario wasn't the third best top laner in the game. Oop, I'll take it.
Yeah, there was a point in the game where Lucario was the best everything at the game at the same time. Like there was a whole running joke. It says, "Oh man, I'm thinking about bringing XXX into the jungle. Is that a good choice?" He said, "Oh yeah, that's his best position." Like, yes. With the exception of exactly Lucario, every Mon's best position is in the jungle. Lucario was an exception because it was just able to solo 3 people in a lane so hard that you couldn't stop it anyways. So, like, Lucario jungle, funny enough, even though it was so ridiculously oppressive, was kind of throwing because then you only have 1 ridiculously strong Mon on your team instead of 2.
Yep.
And that's the other portion, is like even if you could get ahead with Zeraora, you need to maintain a 2-level difference in order to maintain a Unite disparity. Whereas now it's like, okay, well, I hit level 9, I can actually keep you down.
Yeah. I think that this is going to make a significant... I think that this is going to make significant waves for buffing Zeraora. I'm very curious to see what kind of tier list we're going to end up building because based on these changes, I have absolutely no clue on what's going to be strong because there's just so much up in the air. We can speculate, but we just don't know the impact of emblems long term. Maybe there's something we're not even considering, and maybe like hindrance reduction will actually end up being so ridiculously powerful for some Mon because
hindrance reduction's never going to be good until we get more pinks.
Well, the other question is we don't know. I'm not sure if we know how hindrance reductions stacks with caked in tenacity because we do know that a lot of Mons already do have caked in tenacity. Like Snorlax has like 25 or 30 or something.
I would actually assume that
Snorlax has a lot. Like,
I would assume it's very much similar to cooldown reduction in that it would be flat.
Yeah, so if it's flat additive, then we're gonna have some Mons who might be able to have like 50%
56.
Yeah, 56.
I believe.
I thought it was like 38.9 or something. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well, they're like every tank and Serena is like 39.98, which
like
is
just imagine
cringe.
like a slow bro
or
telekinesis.
34.88. Yeah,
like instead of holding you for like 4 seconds, holds you for 2. Like, that's such a huge difference.
But at the same time, what are you sacrificing for that tenacity? So, like, that's the other... Like, everything is about trade-offs at this point.
But that's the whole point that I'm saying is that, yes, there's always going to be trade-offs one way or the other. We just don't know which trade-offs are going to be good or bad. We can tell you all the math behind it, but we can't, like, we can only make educated guesses.
The only thing we can tell you is taking 6 blue over 6 white is just grief.
Yeah, like if the only reason why you would ever take 6 blue over 6 white is if the flat bonuses you get from the blue emblems are just way better than the flat bonuses you get from the white, which in that case is not because they're blue that you're taking them.
And Evo, I did double check. Even Rapid Spin Blastoise at level 15 is a 100 with 6 white is only 150 effective health behind 6 blue. And that is
that's what I was saying.
Case.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anything once you get beyond 600 defense, it doesn't matter anything else. No other variables matter. Once you get beyond 600 of the defenses in question, that is when the defense wins because it's a 2-to-1 ratio, and the defense doubles the effectiveness
the amount
of the
it wins
HP
by
output.
is just irrelevant. Like I said, it's 20,000. Like it's 20,000 effective health, and one gives you 150 more. Oh boy.
But the fact that literally 0 Mons at any level without any other abilities will ever win that ratio. You need to have equal to or above 600 of the defense in order for it to matter. Literally no Mons have that much, which means there is no level in which that will ever make a difference until you consider all the other abilities, in which at that case, question mark.
I think it's important to point out, though, that white is in place of normal and flying, and there's actually not a lot of Mons that have that dual typing. In theory, Charizard should have been a red-white, but it's not. In theory, Venusaur should have been a green-black, but it's not.
White isn't flying.
Yes. So it's normal and or flying. Normal types.
It's just normal. It's just normal, isn't it? I don't think what flying types are there that are just flying no normal?
Butterfree. Butterfree is
Butterfree green white.
Butterfree is green white.
Ew.
That is the
Why?
only dual type that white has right now. In theory, Charizard, Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno. We could possibly see like a pink white in Dragonite, because my estimation is the same way that Gengar was changed from Ghost to Psychic, and the same way that Nidolines.
Why is Gengar Psychic? What the hell?
So because Ghost, there's only one type of Ghost in Gen 1, and even Gen 2, there's only 4.
Well, Marowak.
Marowak is not a...
jokes.
Sure,
but
sure.
Marowak's not a ghost in Gen 2.
No, Marowak is a ghost in Gen 1, right, guys?
Marowak's a ghost in Gen 7.
Oh, yeah, actually, wait, yeah, with the Alolan form, did it actually become...
Yes, it's a ghost. It's a ghost fire.
That is hilarious. So, that's a really neat reference back to Gen 1 there with the... I never realized that. That's pretty cool. That's a cute little Pokemon fact to finish the episode with. Anyway, is there anything else you guys want to go through before we wrap up? Is there anything else
yeah. So my thought being that the types can vary greatly, and like for Jinx, for example, I see that as because Jinx is Ice Psychic. Maybe that ends up being pushed to a blue and pink, for example, and like the dragons become pink. Like there's a lot of things that they can mix around with, and a part of that is the TCG. When you look at TCG, Poison has always been represented as first Grass Energy and then Psychic Energy. Now it's being confirmed as, or being represented in Dark Energy. But Poison has never had its distinct type. So that's the same thing that's going to happen here. We're going to have a lot of crossover types. Even Orange, like Fighting, Ground, Rock, these are all Orange types.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
So we have no idea, really.
So, I've got no idea either. I'm very curious to see what turns out in the future. So, I'm going to say thank you very much, everybody, for listening / watching / attending. I want to say once again farewell to Evochron.
Bye.
Say bye to Lazadin / Ven.
Bye.
And I'm going to say goodbye to you guys from us here at the Math Cord. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This episode was brought to you in part by UniteDB, the foremost authority on the mathematics and formulas hidden within Pokemon Unite. The Math Cord works hand in hand with them to ensure the most up-to-date information is available to you all, and we hope you appreciate this resource. Check them out at unite-db.com. That's unite-db.com for formulas, patch notes, tier lists, and a comprehensive mechanics FAQ. This episode was also brought to you by the Math Cord Patreon. Specifically, I'd like to give a shout out to Aher and Turpy and Circa, who support us at the Funder tier, as well as all other patrons at our $5 and $15 tiers who help make this podcast a thing. If you'd like to support us or have your name read out at the end of each Mathcast episode, feel free to support us at patreon.com/mathcord. Thank you all for watching. Have a great one.